So here's what you may have missed last year. I dared to take on the infamous Fox musical drama Glee and came to the rather unpopular opinion that Season 2 was actually better than Season 1 because it was more lighthearted and off the wall, but in the past year, I've heard more and more bashing of this show from the online community, so I thought maybe I needed to see more of this show just to see what direction it's actually taken since then, and that's what you've missed, and good night, how's that voiceover guy do that every week? So, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the third season of Glee and try to find out just when this show went completely off the rails. So senior year has begun for the main cast of New Directions, and you'd think someone like Finn would be on cloud 9. After all, he's now dating Rachel, he's a member of a regional winning Glee club, and a championship football team, right?
Hey! Taste the rainbow, Glee-atch!
Congratulations, hockey team! You just assured no one on the football team will support your games. Good job!
I'm planning on pushing you harder than you've ever been pushed.
Oh goody, Will Schuester spent the summer studying Vince Lombardi. And thus the tone of this season is set. Remember how 2 was pretty much about acceptance and family and just sticking together to do your best? Yeah, that's all out the window, as now it's all about winning whatever it takes. So yeah, now it's back to treating live theater as if it's sports. Goody.
Once there was a wicked witch in the lovely land of Oz, and a wickeder witch that never ever was.
Good night, you caused a freaking earthquake from how many times Judy Garland turned over in her grave! And as if that isn't enough pressure, with her political dreams struggling, Sue Sylvester decides to go back to her roots of being Queen Biatch of the Midwest.
You know what's getting me down, Western Ohio? The arts in public schools.
Yeah, that whole fighting for healthcare reform in the memory of your dead sister, bah, who remembers that? Today's audiences have the memory of a fruit fly. So while Will prepares to treat Glee Club Nationals like it's the World Series and Rachel and Kurt are determined to get into New York Academy of the Dramatic Arts, no, that isn't a real school, it's once again time for New Directions to recruit new members, especially because Sam moved to Kentucky, meaning they didn't re-sign his actor, and Quinn decided to darken her hair and start smoking under the bleachers. Why do I have a feeling that transformation would have been a lot more interesting to watch than what we're gonna see in this season? Oh, and this whole goth thing lasts 2 episodes before she blondes back up and rejoins New Directions. So it was basically pointless to the story arc. Oh, and get used to me saying that a lot in this review. One person wanting to join in is this girl named Sugar Mata, who's got the attitude of Rachel, but the talent of Megan Fox. So when Will turns her down, she has her parents buy her own Glee club and bring back Rachel's mom Shelby to instruct it. Okay, back up, let's rewind this thing. While Sue is launching a campaign stating the arts are wasting money, McKinley High forms a second Glee club because it will give them a blank check for almost all the other school functions. I can't even keep track of how many ways that fracks up this storyline, and again, we're just in episode 2! And sure enough, by episode 3, the defections begin. And here's the first of 2 scenes that just hacked me off more than anything. Rachel and Mercedes are auditioning for the lead in West Side Story. The directors want to dual cast them, but Mercedes refuses just because no one else is being dual cast, because she just can't be as good as Rachel. She has to throw it in her face that she's better. Look, I'm not justifying Rachel's diva antics, but at least they're understandable given her career ambitions. Mercedes has nothing but petty jealousy towards someone who, remember, was willing to give her the lead at sectionals back in year 1. As she walks down the hall here to defect to Shelby's group, she doesn't look sympathetic, sick, she looks bitter and whiny as she then poaches away Santana, and Santana poaches Brittany just to screw with Rachel. Yeah, Mercedes, you're gonna wreck everything New Directions has built and give Sue everything she wants, but hey, at least you get to show up your rival who has carried this club for 2 years. Isn't it nice that the writers can just push a reset button and not give a damn about character development? While all that is going on, Quinn and Puck are trying to get cozy with Shelby when Quinn's intent is plotting to get their baby back from her. And then it all backfires when Puck falls for Shelby because, hey, they're throwing everything else at us, how about some hot for teacher action? I can't believe I have to say this, but do you think this show could maybe give us a little more High School Musical and a little less General Hospital? Okay, now I haven't talked that much about the music this season because once again, the numbers are really good and I still don't have as much of a problem with the auto-tune as others do. My problem is with the stories, as the first 9 episodes are spent breaking up everything New Directions built in 2 years and having everyone go after one another, whether it's Kurt, Rachel, and Brittany mudslinging one another for student president, or going after each other at dodgeball harder than Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller could ever hope to do. It's this real contradictory message about how they have to compete against other schools to keep their program intact, but competing against one another only leads to trouble. If this show's turning into the Get Along Gang, I'm marching on Ryan Murphy's house myself! Okay, it's time to show the other plot that really got to me. Kurt appears to have won the student president election, only to find out someone stuffed the ballot boxes.
I did it.
What? What were you thinking?
I wasn't thinking.
No! No, you weren't! This to me completely removes any sympathy for Rachel because her only motivation for this is because she felt sorry for how heated things got before she dropped out of the election. But the fact that she would blatantly cheat to make things right in her own mind shows that she absolutely doesn't get it. And it's just forced so that New Directions has to go to sectionals without her so they can bring back Sam and have a 30-second cameo of John Schneider. John, you starred in the Dukes of Hazzard and had a record label before you got that role on Smallville. Are you really that desperate to stay on camera? So New Directions beats the Trouble Tones at sectionals. Do they need to do this feel-good music when they've won this 3 years in a row? And Rachel is let back into Glee Club with no other disciplinary action at all, and the Trouble Tones go back to New Directions and show that everything is hunky-dory again with a Christmas musical that includes...
Live from Lima, Ohio, it's the Glee Holiday Spectacular!
Yes, you are watching this! A Glee rendition of the Star Wars Holiday Special! This show is now officially trolling the geek community! The war is on! It's pretty clear what the biggest problem with the show is. The writers are even less cooperative with each other than the characters. There's no cohesion between Ryan Murphy, Brad Falchuk, and Ian Brennan. As a result, continuity is completely all over the place, which is why Santana got kicked out of Glee Club in the first episode and is back 2 weeks later, or why one episode the Glee Club is the same old victims of slushy attacks, and in the next one, they'll be loved by the student body. Really, I don't know if it's one or the other, guys, but before you write your scripts, you either need to watch the previous episodes or lay off the funny brownies. So we're just supposed to wipe everything clean and see all of New Directions kiss and make up and unite against the Warblers, who since Blaine left to join New Directions are now led by Sebastian, who quite frankly doesn't play fair.
Sebastian is evil. He needs to be expelled.
Yeah, how dare he pick a fight with a competitor? Real Glee clubs pick fights with each other! There's just too much to keep track of this season. Finn and Rachel want to get married, but call it off after Quinn gets hit by a truck, confining her to a wheelchair like Artie. Meanwhile, the show tries to force as many social messages as possible, like homophobia, suicide, domestic violence. Basically, this show is trying to be TV's big social crusader while having students dance in the halls. I truly have never seen a more blatant attempt to be real in a more unrealistic setting since Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters. And maybe it's just me, but I do find their whole anti-gay bashing crusade to be just a little hypocritical when they're more than fine with stereotyping other cultures for jokes, like when Mike Chang's father is disappointed at him for getting an A- because that's the Japanese equivalent of an F. Or when an Irish transfer student named Rory joins New Directions, and it's perfectly okay for Brittany to think he's a leprechaun. Remember everyone, it's okay to discriminate against them if they're white, straight, and or bombed our country 70 years ago. Long story short, New Directions wins regionals again and must now get ready for nationals with the help of...
Stop! Please stop. This is an embarrassment.
Did we enter the Twilight Zone? Yep, Sue Sylvester is now co-directing the group she spent 2.5 years trying to destroy because without the money they can win, she's in danger of losing her full-time hold on the Cheerios due to her pregnancy. A plot element that even the show admits doesn't make any sense.
So here's what you missed on Glee. Sue's pregnant, which is crazy.
I had my eggs frozen in the late 70s.
The only thing that would make even less sense would be if Rachel somehow became prom queen.
Receiving the majority of write-in votes, Miss Rachel Berry.
Let's just try and wrap this thing up. We don't get a third straight year of heartbreak as New Directions finally wins nationals and now the entire school loves them for good. Yeah, all that confetti more than erases all the harsh memories and stains of all those slushies. Those kids should be walking through the halls with double middle fingers saying, "Screw you kids, blue!" With that out of the way, many of the students in New Directions are ready for graduation, even Puck finally being able to cross the aisle. Rachel gets accepted for NIADA, but Kurt sadly doesn't, and she has to make a choice between going to New York or staying with Finn, who makes the decision for her by declaring he's joining the army to try and get his father's dishonorable discharge repealed. I don't even know how that works. But as bittersweet as it sounds, I guess you could say it's probably the best way to put this series to a final conclusion. The third season of Glee simply didn't know when to tap the brakes. In 3 years, the show has gone from morbid drama to off-the-wall dramedy to a freaking soap opera that would have J.R. Ewing and Alexis Carrington rolling their eyes. It tries to stand up against intolerance, but stereotypes other cultures in the process, all the while ignoring plot details they established in previous years and making its cast people we want to see succeed less and less with each passing episode. It's definitely past its shelf life already, but don't expect it to go away soon, because if Fox isn't screwing over shows before they get a chance to get their footing, they're taking shows and making them drag on longer and longer before we're fed up with them. I haven't seen the 4th season yet, but I fully expect them to find a way to take the back backstabbing, whining, and general unlikableness of the characters up to even greater levels. And if I tune in one day to see a Glee version of the Harlem Shake, next time this thing just won't be plastic. See you next time on TV Trash.